one, please. I haven't grown to that size yet. I'm still working on it. Krishna's still working with me. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's perfect. Good morning to Sri Sri Radha Kalachandji Dham. Good morning to all of the assembled devotees, those that we see with our material eyes, and if we're fortunate enough, those that we can see with our spiritual eyes. Always when I have an opportunity, and it is an opportunity and it's a blessing to get an opportunity to come before the Lord in the temple. Same in the homes, but it's an opportunity for purification. So the ultimate prayer that I have is that something that I say is understood, and if you do nothing but take away one point, then I think I've kind of served my guru properly. I've given you something. But I think we start out with by singing Jaya Radha Madhava. Anybody can play the mridanga? Those are very nice to hear when we're singing Jaya Radha Madhava. We're going to be reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 7, text. We're going to do chapter 24 through 27. I don't know what your procedure is on the call and response because there are going to be multiple texts. So we'll just kind of play it by ear. Oh, and one thing, it's very nice to see everyone here because you could have been somewhere else. You chose to be in front of the Lord. So that's a very special commitment. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jararanjanan Yashoda Nandana Braja Jararanjanan Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yashodanandana Braja Chararanjanan. Yashodanandana Braja Chararanjanan. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Kalachandji, Radha Kalachandji Radhe. Jaya Radha Kalachandji, Radha Kalachandji Radhe. Jaya Jaya Jagannath, 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 Jaya Jaya Jagannath. Jaya Jaya Baladev, 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 Jaya Jaya Baladev. Jaya Jaya Subhadra, 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 Jaya Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Jaya Gornitai, 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 Jaya Jaya Gornitai. Nitai Guru Haribol, 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 Nitai Guru Haribol. So we're continuing to read from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila, chapter 8, and we're going to cover text 224 through 227. At least that's the goal. And when I was looking over it last night, I realized, I tried to remind myself that actually Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is the nectar. It has all of the nectar of the Vedas, specifically the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. So in essence, we're going over and re-emphasizing points that have been made before. But the main point is that the Vedas are compiled specifically so that we can develop a relationship with the Lord and get to know the Lord. Simple as that. Very basic. Out of all the Sanskrit that you'll hear, all of the shlokas that you'll hear, the ultimate culmination is that we learn how to develop a relationship with the Lord, and to the best of our ability, we try to get to know the Lord. So, text 24. I'm sorry, did I say Madhya Lila? You know what? I'm sorry. Madhya Lila. Madhya Lila. Madhya Lila, chapter 8, text 224. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Gnanatimarandasya Gananjanan Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tashma Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadandikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavebhya Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, text 24. I guess you can read along yourselves the shloka as I'm doing it, because it might be a little time consuming. What do you all usually do? Do you call and response on the shlokas? Or what's the routine here? My routine then? Someone going to be, you're going to be running this along with me? Okay, good. Nibrita marun mano kashadrida yoga yujo hridyan manaya upashate tat arya piyayu smaranat striya ura genja boga buja dandavi shakadiyo vayamapite samaha samardisho rig sama drishon griha saruja sudaha nibrita manu kasha durida yoga yujari danyan muna upashate tad ariopi ayu smaranat striya urajindra boga buja dandavi shakta diya vayamapite samaha samadrishon griha saruja sudaha nibrita marun manoksha drida yoga yujo ridiyan munaya upasate tat ariopi yayu smaranat striya urajindra boga buja danda vishakta diyo vayamapite samaha samadrishon grihi saruja sudaha. Would someone like to repeat? Nibrita, controlled. Marut, the life, air, manaha, the mind, aksha, senses, dridaha, strong, yoga, in the mystic yoga process, yujaha, who are engaged, riti, within the heart, yat, who, munayaha, the great sages, upasate, worship, tat, that, arya, the enemies, api, also, yaya, obtain, smaranat, from remembering, striya, the gopis, urajendra, of serpents, boja, like the bodies, bhuja, the arms, dunda, like rods, vishakta, fastened to, daya, whose minds, vayam, api, we also, te, your, samaha, equal to them, samadrishaha, having the same ecstatic emotions, angarhi, saroja, of the lotus feet, sudaha, the nectar. And the translation here is by practicing the mystic yoga system and controlling their breath, the great sages conquered the minds and senses. Thus, engaging in mystic yoga, they saw the supersoul within their hearts and ultimately entered into the impersonal Brahman. However, even the enemies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead attained that position simply by thinking of the Supreme Lord. The damsels of Raja, the gopis, simply wanted to embrace Krishna and hold his arms, which are like serpents. Being attracted by the beauty of Krishna, they ultimately acquired a taste for the nectar of the Lord's lotus feet. We can also taste the nectar of Krishna's lotus feet by following in the footsteps of the gopis. Very short purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 87, Text 23, spoken by the Shrutis, the personified Vedas. Text 225. Samadrisha sabde kahe se bhave anugati, sama sabde kahe srutira gopi deha prapti, samdrishaha samde kahe se bhave anugati, samaha sabde kahe srutira gopi deha prapti, samadrisha samde kahe se bhave anugati, samaha sabde kahe srutira gopi deha prapti. Samaha drishaha, samadrishaha, shabde, by this word, kahe, it says, say, that, bhave, in the emotion, anugati, following, samaha, samaha, shabde, by this word, kahe, it says, sutira, of the persons known as the Shrutis, gopi deha, the bodies of the gopis, prapti, attainment. Translation here, the word samadrisha, mentioned in the fourth line of the previous verse, means following the mood of the gopis. The word samaha means attaining a body like those of the gopis. Text 226. Angarihi Padma Sudahaya Kahe Krishna Sangananda Vidimage Napaye Raje Krishna Chandraha Angarihi Padma Sudaha Yakehe Krishna Sagananda Vedimange Napaye Raja Krishna Chandra Angarihi Padma Sudaya Kahe Krishna Sangananda Vidimage napaye Raje Krishna Chandra Angarahi Padma Sudaya, by the nectar derived from the lotus feet of Krishna. Kahe, it says, Krishna Sagananda, transcendental bliss, by the association of Krishna, Vidimage, on the path of regulative principles, Napaye, one does not get, Raje, in Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna Chandra, Lord Krishna. The word Angarahi Padmasuda means associating intimately with Krishna. One can attain such perfection only by spontaneous love of God. One cannot obtain Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan simply by serving the Lord according to regulative principles. Let me read that one again. The word Angarahi Padmasuda means associating intimately with Krishna. One can attain such perfection only by spontaneous love of God. One cannot attain Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan simply by serving the Lord according to regulative principles. Text 227. Nayan Sukapo Bhagavan Dehina Gopika Sutaha Jnaninam Chatma Bhutanam Yatta Bhakti Matam Iha. Nayam Sukapo Bhagavan Dehina Gopika Sutaha Jnaninam Chatma Bhutanam Yatta Bhakti Matam Iha. Nayam Sukapo Bhagavan Dehinam Gopika Sutaha Jnaninam Chatma Bhutanam Yaha Bhakti Matam Iha. Na, not. I am this Lord Sri Krishna, Sukha Apaha, easily attainable, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Dehinam, the materialistic persons who have accepted the body as the self, Gopika Sutaha, the son of Mother Yasoda, Jnaninam, for persons addicted to mental speculation, Cha, and Atmabhutanam, for persons performing severe austerities and penances, Yatta, as Bhakti Matam, for persons engaged in spontaneous devotional service, Iha, in this world. The translation here is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to those devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service, but he is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities and penances, or to those who consider the body the same as the self. Purport: the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 9th chapter, 21st text, is spoken by Srila Sukadeva Goswami. It concerns the statement about Krishna being subjugated by the gopis and thus glorifying them. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasaya Buddhale Shrimati Bhakti Swami Janamani Namaste Krishna Pad Prabhupada Astrayapani Shri Guru Puruna Shakti Bhakti Namaste Krishna Pad Prabhupada Astrayapani. So I'm sure pretty much everyone in here is familiar with the scriptures, but chapter 8 of Sri Chaitanya Madhya Lila is a talk or a conversation between the Lord and Ramananda Raya. And in a little bit more detail, just a refresh, just to give a glimpse of the summary, so then we'll jump right into this, is the summary of the 8 chapters given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Amrita Pravabhasya. After visiting the temple of Jayada and Nishrima, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the banks of river Godavari, to a place known as Nagara. When Srila Ramanandaraya went there to take his bath, they both met. After being introduced, Sri Ramanandaraya requested Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to remain in the village for some days. Honoring the request, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed there in the home of some Vedic brahmanas. In the evening, Srila Ramanandaraya used to come to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ramanandaraya, who was clothed in ordinary dress, offered the Lord respectful obeisances. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu questioned him on the object and process of worship, and also asked him to recite verses from the Vedic literature. So this is the Lord having the utmost respect for Ramanandaraya. He must have been a pretty special individual for the Lord to want to sit down and hear from him. And when I was looking over this last night, I kept thinking how the scriptures are repetitious, whether it's the Bhagavad Gita, which is very good detail, the Srimad Bhagavatam, excellent detail. But the culmination of them all is, out of all the shlokas you can read, out of all the Sanskrit you can remember, that our whole purpose is to understand that the relationship with Lord Krishna is most important. It's probably one of the most important relationships we'll ever have in our lives. And in text 224, it just emphasizes what we already know. It speaks of how, yes, you can know the Lord by what? Mystic yoga practices. I think even austere penances are in here somewhere. But what is most important is that we develop an intimate relationship with the Lord. Seeing the Lord is important. It is very important, but the process by which we reach knowing and seeing the Lord is also beneficial to us. Even the demons in their demoniac states, when their lives are taken by Krishna, they ultimately see Krishna. But the horrible process that they must have gone through to get there, I can't imagine it was worth it. But what is stressed is what is most important is just having them move to the gopis. These gopis are so attracted to the Lord, but attracted in such a way that it's not a mundane, materialistic way that we're attracted. They are attracted to the Lord in such a way that whatever he wants, they want to serve him. Nothing else matters. There was one story that I remember reading some time ago where Krishna asked, I think he had a headache or something. Krishna doesn't have a headache, but anyway, to satisfy the devotees, he takes certain moves and does certain things, but he had a headache, so he asked for the dust from the gopis. And if my memory is correct, some of them hesitated. Maybe they didn't, but the point is, the gopis took the dust from their lotus feet and they offered it to the Lord because they loved him so much. They didn't have this relationship of this is the Lord and we can't do this or that. They loved him unconditionally. When you love someone unconditionally, you do whatever is necessary to satisfy that individual. And the best example that we have, we always hear of the gopis of Vrindavan. Their life is built around Sri Krishna. And when we are coming to develop a relationship with Krishna, what's important is that we develop a love. And if we're fortunate, an intimate type of love, not a love that's from a distance, the love that you have for someone that is very close to you. Krishna does not need anything from us, absolutely nothing. But what he relishes is the intimacy that he develops with each and every one of us. And each and every one of us has a very unique, a very different, a very intimate relationship with the Lord. That is how you get to know the Lord. When you know him in that way, it's like a whole world opens up to you of who Krishna is, what your possibilities are, what the potential is. But the loving relationship that the gopis have with Krishna is actually, in a sense, preparing us for the relationship that we will have whenever we're fortunate enough to get to Vaikuntha, or Goloka Vrindavan. We're practicing all the time in our relationships every day. We're practicing. How do you treat each other? How do you treat people that are outside of the temple? When we walk outside that door, the devotees that we are should be known by the way we carry ourselves. And we should treat each other accordingly, regardless of the package of the body that they're built in. Every day it's a practice. Is it easy? No way is it easy. But practicing the principles helps you to look at people and understand Krishna is in the heart. And when Krishna is in the heart, regardless of how they're behaving or how they're looking, we should be able to feel something for that person. Maybe it won't be loving all the time, but the goal is to develop a loving association with the Lord by also developing loving associations with his part and parcels, and we're all his most intimate part and parcels. How long do we have? Is it 45 minutes or half an hour? 8:30? I don't have my glasses, so I have no idea what time it is. Is it? Okay, so 220, text 225 is going over following the mood of the gopis, which again is not the easiest mood to follow because they're pure in heart. Their mood is to serve. In text 26, did I say 225? 226. The translation speaks of the importance of developing spontaneous love of God. And it isn't that, and I think I heard someone the other night, I was listening to someone saying that the purpose of going to Vrindavan, we can go there and we can, any of the dhams, Mayapur, Vrindavan, and we learn about the Lord and study and go to holy places, which I still thoroughly enjoy, but having spontaneous love is so important to make that connection with Krishna. If we don't even have spontaneous love for ourselves, we're in big trouble. And it has to start somewhere. Remember, Krishna's in the heart. How can you not love yourself? Krishna did not make any mistakes when he put us together, when we have always been part and parcel of him. But the point is, spontaneous love is very, very important because it puts you in a position to be loving, not only to Krishna, but to his servants. And Krishna is very, very, very key on us being the servants of the servants of the servants. But you can't be a servant to anyone unless you see them in a place of love or in a place of I always say compassion, but love is really important. And developing spontaneous love of God, I would say, and it's in the scriptures, but this is me. But I'm speaking from the scriptures, so I'm not trying to change them. But we're given basic standards on how to approach Krishna. When you come into Krishna consciousness, you get these 4 rules and regulations with it, which I think it's mentioned in one of the texts. But following the regulative principles, what is it? No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. These are just the groundwork. This is just the foundation. But to have a love of Krishna, this is our foundation. This is where we start from. The basic principles are nice, but they are not the only things that get you to where you need to go. There's more to it. There is learning how to develop love of Krishna, and that's through service. Bhakti yoga is probably, it is the best way of developing a relationship with Krishna. When you are serving someone, when you are devoting yourself to someone, that means you have some feeling there, some attachment. That means that you will do for that individual whatever needs to be done. They don't even need to ask for it. You just do it because you love them. And a good way of practicing it is by treating each and every one as a child of God, of serving someone that maybe you don't even understand, someone that maybe you have no attachment for. But we've forgotten. We have been eternally attached to each other, lifetime after lifetime. The very fact that we're sitting here together with everyone is not new. We've crossed each other's paths before, we just don't remember it. And the nice part about Krishna consciousness and Bhakti yoga is that it helps us develop that relationship. In text 27, it speaks of the relationship that Krishna had with Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda wanted to bind him because of some naughtiness that he performed. And who binds the Lord, or who gets the Lord to the point where he wants to cry? He doesn't have to do that. But these are reactions of an intimate relationship. Mother Yashoda didn't look at him so much as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She looked at him as my child. We have different relationships that we can have with the Lord. What is it? Friend, lover, relative. It goes on and on. It is up to us, the relationship that we want to have with the Lord. And if we go through this life and we do the needful, we keep our sadhana up, we try each and every day to be a better servant of the servant of the servant, to honor the principles of Krishna consciousness, to read, to chant, even when it is most difficult to chant, to have proper and good association with each other. No, everyone that you come across, you may not be able to have the intimate, close relationship, but we need to work on it. Because in another lifetime, you were the best of friends. So this is our testing ground here in the material world. Srila Prabhupada has left us with so many instructions, so much, so many lessons. And if we do something as simple as just reading from the scriptures, you have to start somewhere. The scriptures are as good as Krishna. The other point that I wanted to make, and it's probably something you all know, but Krishna goes by so many, many names. So there is no hard and fast rules on who you call him. We gravitate toward Krishna, but I was reading in the Adi Leela. That's why I was so attached to Adi Leela. Om. Om is a sound vibration for Krishna. And it says there that if you can even remember Om, which is the sound vibration of Krishna, then your life can be complete. Then you can go to the spiritual world just on Om Tara. That was mind-blowing. I'm thinking, yeah, Om. Krishna is in everything. The sound vibration, the scriptures, the associations we have. Remember, when you're passing someone, inside the temple, outside the temple, Krishna's right there in the heart. When we are interacting with each other, we try to be the best devotees that we can possibly be. Those that have taken initiation, behave in such a way that your guru would be proud. Otherwise, you're being a nonsense. There is no such thing as, I'm a devotee now here in the temple, but when outside the temple, I can just do whatever, and I can treat people whatever. That's not how you get back to Godhead. No, that shouldn't be our primary goal, but the point is, we are now in a test pattern every single day on making our way back home, back to Godhead. But we should also be in the mood that if Krishna wants us to wait lifetimes after lifetime, our goal should be and our prayer should be, Krishna, however you want me to be, however you want to treat me, just keep me at your lotus feet. And I guarantee, when you develop that relationship with the Lord, when you realize that is the most important love, the most important relationship you could ever have, no matter what happens in the world, no matter what happens in your world, no matter what the day-to-day activities are that are going on, you will get through it. There will be challenges, but those challenges are like the friction that a lump of coal gets. In order for it to reach its peak, to be a diamond, it's rubbed roughly, constantly, as often as possible. So if you have a little challenge in your life, treat it as a stepping stone on the way back home, back to Godhead. I was going to read text, I was going to quickly read text 20, Canto 10, chapter 21, text 9, but I don't know that we have time. How much time do we have on the clock? Let's see what I can do in 7 minutes. I just wanted to reiterate the point. Before I do that, did anyone want to share a comment or questions as I'm going through this? Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, has a good point. Yes. Oh, I'm so sorry. Sucharya Prabhu, please. That's a very good question. Regular devotion would fall under, and this is my thinking, the rules and regulations, what we're required to do. It's there, it's in the scriptures. You know, the principles, the 4 principles, no meat eating, reading the scriptures, chanting, regular. Some may have some feelings attached to it, but spontaneous is you just do it. It's not even written down. You just do it. It just happens. It comes because of a relationship that you've established. Spontaneous, for me, would be as an example. And keep in mind, this is my example, coming across someone, more so someone than something, but coming across someone and just feeling an urge to do something for that particular person, to say something to them, to care for them, to just an immediate attraction. With regular, it's in the books, it's scriptural. With spontaneous, it's from the heart. It just happens. You can't, there's a saying, no rhyme or reason, but there's no rhyme or reason that most people can see as to why they feel a certain way towards someone. Spontaneous. That would be my opinion of it. No, really, thank you for bringing it up. Anyone else want to dive into that one? Spontaneous versus? Yes.
The way I see this, one is planned, one is unplanned.
Ah, good point.
So I mean, like when I say unplanned, so you just So when I say unplanned, so for instance, when there is a Sankirtan or a Kirtan going on for the Lord's pleasure, you originally did not plan to, partake, because let's say you were chanting Hare Krishna, and the nature of the Kirtan is such that it is you start singing and dancing for the Lord's pleasure without even knowing how much time has passed, with a time warp. Like, let's say 30 minutes or 45 minutes passes like 5 minutes.
Yes.
That's an unplanned, unconditional, loving, devotional service. That's how I see it.
Key, very key. You said unconditional, something unplanned. It just happens. Very good point. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Mother.
Very good point. Anyone else want to tap into that? Want to respond? No? So let me read the translation. I guess I should read the shloka. This is Canto 10, chapter let me see what's up at the top. Oh, well, when I covered it, I didn't get the chapter, but it's the Mother Yashoda binding Lord Krishna. Oh, that's not good. It may be 10:9:21. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 9, Text 21. Are you able to pull that up? The text, the shloka. Nayam sukapo bhagavan dehinam gopika sutaha yananinam chatma bhutanam. Am I reading? Yeah, I guess I am. It's pretty similar to what we read. Yananinam chatma bhutanam yata bhakti matam iha. The point that is being emphasized is in the translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, key point, is accessible to devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service. But he is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities or penances, or to those who consider the body the same as the self. And I have to tell you, and I'm not simplifying the scriptures because they can never be simplified. There's always something to learn. I am always constantly learning. But the one thing that I have learned in the years that I've practiced being a devotee, the one thing that I have learned is that the spontaneous love is very different. That intimate love is very different. It goes beyond the scriptures, what we're practicing. And that's what we're ultimately trying to get to, because at that point, it's as if the whole world of Krishna opens up. We begin to see things. Lights go off. This is me speaking. Lights begin to go off. You appreciate the good, the bad. You appreciate the pain. You appreciate the challenges. You go through all of that because ultimately it is leading to your eternal association, which actually is very sweet. It's much sweeter than what we're feeling right now. But what is important is that, yes, develop the principles, stick to the standards. But ultimately, when you are able to spontaneously feel for Krishna, to have that spontaneous love with Krishna, we should be able to share it and get along with each and every one, regardless of who we are, where we come from, because in the spiritual world, you're going to find variegatedness. If you don't get it right here, you won't ever make it there. So that spontaneous love, no matter how long it takes, is a main key to developing a relationship, not only with Krishna, but with others, but in being able to be on the path, or to stay on the path, getting back home, Godhead, because there's nothing but pure love there. There's no ego there. We're so tied up in false egos, or I like this person, I don't like that person. I like they speak, I don't like the way we have to get beyond that. And it is said in so many different ways, on so many different levels, on so many different ways to connect with each and every one of your mindsets. Spontaneity in love is important. There are many paths to it, but the most important one, whether it's an austerity, whether they're mystic practices, the most effective one is developing a relationship with the Lord. Bhakti yoga, devotional service, serving is so important. So I've gone on and on, but we'll end at this point. Does anyone want to share some insight, want to say something? Yes, Prabhu Shri Rupa.
There was two things that your class reminded me of. And thank you very much for the nice class, by the way. There's one really nice, a book that you gave me actually, that I had before and I gave away. It's a really nice book, The 64 Principles for Community.
Yes.
It's originally from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and then Bhakti True Maharaj translated it into English, and then His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj wrote a commentary on it. And in the introduction to that, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj makes the point, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he makes the point that sometimes we don't have good relationships with other devotees. And we feel like, oh, it's okay, I'll just do my service and they can kind of stay over there and I'll stay over here, and we can just kind of have bad relationships with lots and lots of devotees, but we'll just keep doing our service and somehow naturally we'll just go back to Godhead at the end of our lifetime. And he was making the point that, kind of, just to think that we're gonna have a bunch of bad relationships here in the material world, and we're just gonna magically go back to Godhead.
So
that that there was a kind of a disconnect there that didn't make sense.
It is.
And that it's stuck with me for years. I read that, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, and I never forgot that. It made so much sense. And then another thing that it reminded me of was Tamal Krishna Maharaj in his last Vyas Puja here in Dallas. He made the point at the end that wouldn't it be so nice if the love that we have for our spiritual masters we had for every devotee. We felt that same love. And then he took it another step further and he said, actually, wouldn't it be so nice if we had that same love for every living entity So kind of to the point that you're making of whoever we see, trying to, you know, more and more, we're all part and parcels of Krishna. We all have Paramatma in the heart. We're all pure spirit souls, actually. And, you know, we get so caught up on the external coverings. And,
Absolutely.
you know, of course, we do live in the material world, so we have to use our intelligence to make distinctions at times for safety and things like
Yes.
that. But at the same time, how can we really, even when we have to do that, be as compassionate and kind and encouraging as we can be?
Thank
Appreciating.
you so much. That was a very good point. And over again, it's sometimes it feels like the scripture's beating us over the head with the points, but the point is exactly that. It's said in so many different ways to touch each and every one of us in a way that we can understand. But you cannot behave in the way that you're behaving in a non-loving way and be honorable to Guru and love Krishna, and you can't love or respect the person sitting next to you, regardless of where they're from or what they look like. You cannot. And I'll tell you one thing, an experience that I had, and I don't mind sharing it with you, and then I'll stop. But when I was in Detroit, still growing, and I'm still growing right now, I'm nowhere near perfection. And then if I am, then Krishna can take me if he wants. But the point is, the mood that you have has to be pure. I was serving on the altar and dressing Lord Jagannath. Beautiful Lord Jagannaths in Detroit. They're like, anywhere they're amazing. Yes, again, I'm not perfect, but I had a difference of opinion with someone on the altar. Never said a word, but I get on the altar trying to perform my services. So I'm doing Pujari service at night. There's a separate room for Lord Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra's things. So I'm in the back, and I'm just fuming because this individual is not he's not understanding, and he's intelligent person. It's like, you know the scriptures, why are you behaving like that? My guru is still working with me on that. I have a problem with people that understand the scriptures, some senior, and they don't behave in such a way. Well, anyway, I'm taking that move back on the altar. I'm about to go out the altar, and the door slams. Nobody's on the other side. The door slams. Lord Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra's tray spill over. I hit the ground. There's nobody around. What happened? Krishna slammed me. You cannot behave like that. You serve me, but you're going to have this mood with this devotee, whether they're right or wrong. It wasn't my thing to correct them. I was supposed to work around it. You're going to come across people that you may not exactly get along with, but at least in your heart, Haribol, respect. Even if you can't say anything, that one lesson really shook me up. Nobody around. Nobody was near the door. But Krishna slammed the door on me, and I really got it together after that. I'm continuing to do that, but the point you're making is a very good point that we need to understand if you don't understand anything else. Where you were born, how you were born, who your parents were, how you were raised. All of that somehow or another led you to this point. Whether it was a good experience or a bad experience, take it and make the best of it. Sometimes the best experiences are made from the most unfortunate circumstances. Read the scriptures, listen to the sannyasis. But the point is, we need to get along, we need to love each other. We would not have, take it a step further, separate nations, separate wars constantly. Who are we? We're fighting over things that don't even belong to us. We've lost our mindset. Our egos are out of control. We don't have that relationship with God, with the Lord. We don't have that loving association. And guaranteed, if you don't get it, you won't get there. You won't get there. So whatever it takes for Krishna to explain that to me and make me understand, I will continue to want to learn. And that is something we should understand. What you do, what amount of Lakshmi you make, where you live, who your material family is, makes no difference to Krishna. What makes a difference is that you understand we are all part and parcel of the Lord. We're all connected. Somehow or another, we've become disconnected. And the scriptures are helping us to understand the relationship with Krishna and then thereby developing that relationship, we develop a better relationship with each other. Otherwise, you're just a waste of space and nonsense. So thank you so much for bringing that up. Anyone else have any other points? Seriously. Yes, Sucharya Prabhu.
This is just a short point, but I heard a lecture recently where Srila Prabhupada was saying, we are part and parcel of Krishna. That means we are Krishna's partner.
Nice. Nice point. I never thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right. We are. Does anyone else have anything they want to share? Please, feel free. There are no mistakes here in speaking. No? Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Shri Shri Radhakala Chandji Dham ki jai. Vaishnav ki jai. Hare Krishna. Haribo. You think about it. We come from this wonderful place, the spiritual world, and we can't even behave in such a way that we get along with each other. What is the problem? What does Srila Prabhupada say? What is the difficulty? When we can get over that little hump, and it's only a little hump, we'll be fine, regardless of who we have these challenges with. Sometimes they're put there for a reason. At least you said first. Most people, it doesn't come to their mind. When it does, it seems like you can get